Welcome back to the Football Hub Podcast, where we discuss everything about football and everything there is to basically discuss about football. And today's edition is the international break edition, where we discuss about national team sides and most especially the Super Eagles of Nigeria. And I'd like to welcome Eddie for joining our podcast for the first time. And
Welcome.
hopefully this is first of many for you and hopefully get used to it. So before we really go into what we have to say today, like Nigeria played out Lesotho in the World Cup qualifiers where we had a game we played in the first half that wasn't really great, and in the second half we managed to grind out the result, and to some extent it was the typical African football vibe where you just have to grind out the results. And I actually want you guys to give your opinion about what happened in the game and what you think would happen going forward for the national team.
Okay. Well, I don't really have a lot to say about. I don't really have a lot to say about the game because the reality is, it's the Super Eagles all over again. It's what we see. We struggle to score. We struggle to keep a clean sheet. As we found a way to get the 3 points, which was very important. Kudos to them. But moving forward, the game against Benin, I'm going to be honest, I'm not really optimistic that we'll be able to pull through. But as a Nigerian, we have to support the team and hope for the best. So we are looking forward to Tuesday and let's see what comes of it.
Yeah, so Prince, I know you watched the game and you had a mixture of emotions, especially in the group chats where we were discussing about it.
Uh,
What would you
to,
how would you judge the game against Lesotho?
to be honest, for me, it was typically a game of two halves, as you'd expect. So the first half was utterly shambolic. After that first half, I didn't think we were going to score or win that game. The first half, you know, misplaced passes. Um, yeah, it was majorly filled with misplaced passes and players not performing up to standards. I think some of the chances they didn't get enough chances, and there was a big chance missed by Tolu in that first half. So moving into the second half, I didn't think we were going to win, but we kept pressing, we kept pressuring, and fortunately we got the penalty. And I thought maybe that would be it. I didn't expect us to score a second goal, but Adams, who made his debut, somehow managed to, pull off a very nice dribble to score that goal. And I think this is thanks to the pitch, because the pitch this time was a bit better than the South African pitch. So maybe that kind of helped. And luckily enough for us, we were able to score the two goals. But then, strangely, as Nigeria would always be Nigeria, they found a way to make it difficult for themselves in the end, conceding a very, very silly set piece goal and almost making it a 2-2 game in the end. So I think we won. We won well, but somehow we found a way to make it difficult for ourselves and almost drew that game. So I don't know how this leaves us for the group game against Benin Republic, which is coming up next.
Eddie,
Yeah, more
um,
here, big man.
we're going to move to the South Africa game. South Africa played out a goalless draw against Zimbabwe in a game that Zimbabwe, it was more like a rivalry game because obviously we know Zimbabwe and South
South
Africans are
Africa.
kind of like neighbors. Yet, so they played out a draw. Benin Republic defeated Rwanda in a very tight and edgy game. So I'm going to ask you now, like, do you, going into that final game of the qualifications, do you really see a twist happening or maybe some sort of help from Rwanda against South Africa or maybe Nigeria ending up qualifying if we beat Benin and results from other centers actually help us?
Well, I think if there's anything watching football for as long as I have has shown me is that all three scenarios are possible. Everything is possible. There's a possibility we qualify, we find a way to score the 2 or 3 needed goals against Benin, somehow find a way to keep a clean sheet. Rwanda gets a point against South Africa, or South Africa doesn't get a point against Rwanda. Everything is possible. But then at the same time, I have to look at it from a realistic point of view. They say lightning doesn't strike the same spot twice. Now, I think that game against Zimbabwe, that draw, South Africa's draw to Zimbabwe, judging from how good we know the South African team is, I don't think that happens 2 games in a row. Is this possible? Yes, we saw Liverpool lose 3 games back to back. It's nobody kind of thought it was possible.
Bounce.
You get so it is football. It's football. They could lose to Rwanda. Very, very possible. They could lose to Rwanda. It's a huge possibility. But then at the same time, you have to still be realistic that okay, I don't think South Africa loses to Rwanda. I think South Africa finds a way to edge Rwanda, even if it's just by a goal. I think South Africa finds a way to edge Rwanda. But those kind of games are usually tricky. You see those teams that don't exactly have anything to play for, they tend to find a way to make things very hard. Those teams that have very little to play for, they find a way to frustrate you.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think South Africa I feel South Africa would win, but it wouldn't be an easy game. I think they might just edge it out 1-0 or 2-0. And then coming towards our game at Uyo against Benin Republic, I think over the last couple of years, the Super Eagles have shown us over and over again that they crack under pressure. When the light has shined or shone at the brightest, that this team has cracked. Be it the African Cup of Nations finals, be it the 2022 World Cup qualifier against Ghana, they have just not been able to get themselves over the line to go beyond, to just hit that expectation that okay, we've done this. So I don't really see them doing it against Benin. But who knows? It's football. Anything can happen. So let's just watch and hope for the best results.
Considering how we've been playing lately, and not just with the Lesotho game, actually.
Yeah.
The football has not been great, and I think
Doesn't.
that is a general consensus around Nigerians, because there were moments in the game when we couldn't string 3 to 5 passes building up to maybe an attack. I'm trying to understand here how, after so much shuffling with the coaches, or maybe changing coaches from Pesero to Finidi to Chelle, like the football has actually not improved. I don't know if you're seeing it from that point of view also, because to be
Yes.
honest, I don't really see it, to be honest.
I think the problem is the Super Eagles. If you use the South African team as an example, that is a team. When you see them play, they play as a team. There has been this core set of players, this steady progression of this particular set of players for a couple of years now. There has been interest, or there's been interest by SAFA, like the South African Football Federation, in growing this thing. You've seen it over time that they have gotten better. They've grown. They play like a team. There's a bond and understanding between them. The last time we played them at the AFCON, we barely survived. I think the entire 120 minutes we got outplayed. We got completely outplayed. We beat them based on, I think, experience. That's what that's what I would call it. we don't have an identity as a Super Eagles. We don't have a playing pattern. We don't have a style because we don't have a team. We have a group of individuals. We don't exactly have a team, and it's not surprising because tomorrow the NFF would bring out a completely uh, different 23-man list, and then next tomorrow they put in somebody that we have never seen before, and then the next competition they put in another person, and then 2 weeks later they have sacked the coach and brought in Eguavoen, and from Eguavoen we are back to Fini the judge. There's no clear direction. There's no clear direction in this team. There hasn't been a clear direction in this team since I think as far back as the sacking of Gernot Rohr. So it is understandable
True.
that there is no play pattern. Our formation, the way Nigeria plays is very predictable. Get the ball to Victor Osimhen, just cross the ball to Victor Osimhen and hope something happens. That is exactly how we played at the AFCON as well. Yes, we were lucky enough to make to the final, but we didn't play fantastic football. We didn't play beautiful football. We've just had this. If you are playing PS, just play the press triangle and look it over to
Yeah,
your
yeah, yeah.
to your tall striker. You get, so it's
Too
it is
predictable.
it is extremely predictable. It's not surprising because even from the technical team to the NFF, I don't see you don't get that vibe, that energy. Like they are willing to grow the sport in the country. Let's take away let's use, using the Super Eagles as an example. There haven't been how many natural like home based players has has come out of Nigeria in the last 10 years. How many of them have gone through the system of the under 17, the under 20, the under 23 before the national team? There has not been this steady crop of progression in players. Majority of the players that make up our core team today are England's products, people that were probably not good enough to make it to the English team. So it is understandable that there is no identity because you go to England, you pluck out a Lookman, you pluck out an Iwobi, Olaino, Basi. There is no Nigerian way. There is no Nigerian identity. They play for the badge, they play for the country. The foreign guys that join us, they're amazing. But I think there is when there is no I don't know how to explain it without coming off as I'm not being appreciative to the people that end up picking deciding to play for Nigeria.
So you
But
feel
then when
like
you look at the team,
you feel like there's no DNA like of the
exactly,
Niger DNA.
exactly, there isn't, and it is telling off in the Super Eagles. If we don't have a bench, we don't have you don't look at Super Eagles and you're like, oh, okay, you're impressed that okay, this is I'm expecting something exceptional to happen when the Super Eagles plays. The entire footballing structure of Nigeria is gone. The under 17, the under 20, everything. There is no identity from start to finish.
I mean, in the last home-based Nations Cup, we're embarrassed in that
E-
tournament, and
Exactly.
I followed a lot of the games. I followed a lot of the games in that tournament, and the quality of football from our home base. I'm not going to lie to you. It's shocking, to be
Honestly,
honest. Like, it is not something to write home about, and it still boils down to NFF as an organization. The blame still goes back to the NFF president. No matter how much people want to say, okay, he's not the coach or he's not part of the technical team or whatever, it still boils down to the NFF because they make the decisions at the top. And these
exactly.
decisions are actually affecting the football. And I think in Nigeria, it's just the female team that are actually thriving without much expectation you get. So it's crazy.
I think okay, let me use this as an example. Let me use the female team as an example as well to back up what I said. Most of our most important players in the female team right now are the people that grew up in the United States and probably were not good enough to make it to the American team. I think the girl that scored the winning goal at the AFCON final, Alozie, Ashley Plumcher, and the rest of them, most of the core set of players that are bonding together in the Super Falcons are also like the foreign ones that are coming back. There isn't a
Yeah,
steady,
yeah, yeah.
there isn't
Foreign bond.
exactly, there isn't this grassroots growth anymore. So the entire identity of the Nigerian Football Federation is dying off. I think there was a time where we used to win the under 17 African Cup of Nations regularly. We haven't qualified I don't think
Even
we
the what?
qualified for the I don't think we've qualified for under 17 World Cup in a while. We've not gone to the Olympics in the last 2 or 3 editions. It's in shambles. The only reason why we can look at the Nigerian football scene and feel like we still matter is because when we watch the Premier League, we watch La Liga, we watch it in Serie A, we see some of our boys there and we feel that, yes, we still matter. We see the Victor Osimhens and the Lookmans and the rest of them. But excluding that, remove that from the entire picture. There is nothing to write home about when it comes to the Nigerian football space anymore.
I mean, it's quite sad that we are having this conversation because back then when we used to watch the Super Eagles in the times of JJ Okocha, Nwankwo Kanu, Obafemi Martins, Utaka, Osaze Odewingi, you would always have this feeling that something good was going to happen while watching the
Exactly.
game. But right now it feels like
It
there's
doesn't
no hope,
exist anymore.
or we're not even enthusiastic towards. You ask an average Nigerian that, are you going to follow today's game? And they will tell you, oh, I don't care about the Super Eagles again. I don't really care about what they do. They're not good enough yet. So I feel like all round it has to get better.
It really has
In
to.
my own mind, I think we need to forget about the upcoming World Cup and start building towards 2030. That is a more realistic target because right now it's not looking good. Well, depending on other teams to get
Uh,
qualifications or permutations here and there you get. So
it
I
is
feel
the
like
Nigerian
generally
way.
the whole setting has to get better, and hopefully there are some changes in the organization and all that. I know as a Nigerian it's not really um like a realistic thing to think about, but going forward I feel like they need to do a lot. They need to do a lot of fixing,
They
like
really need to.
upstairs. So like in the
Yeah.
glass house. So for it, we as Nigerians were always going to be hopeful and hoping for the best. But right now, it's not looking good, to be honest.
It's
So
it is not.
going into that game against Benin, like we know obviously that Benin Republic are actually free flowing team. You get, so they are like a very free flowing team, and from the games I've watched in the past from Benin Republic, they tend to try to outscore you or maybe score a lot of goals in games. And the Super Eagles currently are actually not a team that would want to go into the game to maybe attack from the first minute to maybe the last minute. So
No,
do you really think we stand a chance to go there and defeat Benin like 3 goals to nil?
I think we have the players to. I think we have the players to do that. For the problem here now is if I'm to go by the second half of the game against South Africa, where we had to look for a win, we were chasing a win, and then the tactical setup of the coach just was like the complete opposite. And then I'm looking at that Benin game, I'm thinking to myself that is the coach tactically sound enough to set this team up in a way to break Benin down? Scoring goals has been a problem for us. I don't think we've played any game in this World Cup qualifiers where we scored 3 goals in a match. And all of a sudden, we are hoping to do it against a team that is currently ranked number 1 in the group, a team that this is their first this might be their first ever World Cup. Do you know what it means? They are going to play their life out on that field. It is not about we are Nigeria,
And
we
it's
have to go
going
to
to
the
be
World Cup.
it's going to be
It's
poetic.
you get it is we are
It's
going up
actually going to
against
be
a team.
poetic because we sacked we sacked Gernot Rohr some years back, and now he's actually the manager or coach of Benin Republic. And imagine what will happen if he defeats Nigeria and
I
qualifies
honestly
them for the
think
World Cup.
I honestly think it is very possible because Benin going into that game, they this set of players can make history. This might be the only time in maybe the next 50 years that Benin would have an opportunity to go to the World Cup. So basically, they are going to put it all on the line. They are going to play like they are at war. They are going to play like their life depends on it because their legacies depend on it. Every player, that might be the biggest stage any of them in that Benin national team would ever play on. They would literally become legends back home. They'll become gods. They'll become footballing icons if they can somehow find a way to make it to the World Cup. And then I look at how we've been playing. No passion except from probably like Victor Osimhen and Trust Ekong. There's no passion. There's no like that popular Chelsea meme. No passion, no aggression. There is nothing there. And as I feel we might find a way to win, but I don't
It's
think we
crazy,
would
man. It's
qualify.
crazy, to be honest.
And the more I think about it, I don't feel we should qualify because if we do qualify, then the NFF gets complacent. They feel okay, we made it to the World Cup, we can continue what we are doing. There is no pointing of fingers. But then if we miss back-to-back World Cups, maybe somebody would lose his job. Maybe somebody would have to be called to order. Maybe by then we'll start seeing a couple of necessary changes.
To be honest, I think that is a possibility. I'm hopeful if something will happen because someone has to account for what has happened in Nigerian football for a number of years. So I feel like if we don't go to the World Cup, it's kind of like a reality check as to where we are
Exactly.
as a nation football-wise. So
Yes.
the NFF president obviously has to answer for his sins. I would want to put it that way because he has to
It
answer
is.
for his sins. But
He has to.
um, moving forward, I think moving forward, a lot of Nigerians have actually prepared their mind for the worst,
I think
for
I
what
think
would happen or what would not.
I think if we are being honest ourselves, since the game after South Africa, a lot of us mentally checked out of the World Cup dream since the draw
True.
into South Africa. A lot of us like forget the 3 points, forget anything. We mentally checked out after that draw because we saw it as an impossible mountain to climb. Because I don't it is sad. The NFF has they've not done anything right in the last couple of years. I still don't understand the appointment of Eric Chelle. Like the Super Eagles are in a bad position. You need to improve the Super Eagles. You looked at the entirety of Africa. You looked at the entirety of the world, the coaches that are available, the CVs that were at your disposal, the number of coaches that would have probably put their names into the hat for that job. And then you went through it all and you thought, you know what? I like that former Mali coach who has won nothing. You get my point? It's like if if
Yeah, I
if
get you.
something just needs to change. I don't have anything against Eric Shell. It's not his fault. I don't have anything against him. I hope he does well at the AFCON. For for this World Cup, I think he was thrown into an impossible situation at the beginning. I think from the moment he stepped in, a lot of us probably were hopeful, but at the same time we're like, it's probably mission impossible at this point. Because I think there was a point when the gap between we and South Africa was about 8 points.
Yes.
Yes, to even be at this position, it's okay. Kudos to him and the luck of FIFA deducting points, I guess. Oh, it is what it is. This is where we find ourselves. This is the reality. And if we don't put our house in order, it would only get worse from here. It would only get worse from here because I am eating on the fact that a lot of people are not realizing how damaged the structure of Nigerian football is because we still have big name players outside the country. But then when you look back home, the league is in shambles. You watch the league, you can't see players put three, four, five passes together. NFF has not been able to get sponsorship for the league. There are no TV deals for the league. There is no the league is not marketable. If you have a Nigerian player today that scores 10 goals in the league, the next year he has gone to Tanzania or Algeria or Egypt. It's do you get me? The grassroots is dead. The under 17s are non existent anymore. The golden eaglets, everything. The only thing we look at now is the Super Eagles, and even the Super Eagles themselves are nothing to write home about. You take a look at the Super Falcon. There is no progress in that part as well. You cannot be 10-time world champion and you've never played in the quarterfinal, 10-time African champions rather, and you've never played the quarterfinal of the World Cup. You are like a big fish in a small pond. Every time you go to the World Cup, you can't even make the quarterfinals. You get embarrassed. There's no progress. You are just big among a group of losers. You are just the best loser. And then you even look at the women's space in Africa. Morocco and South Africa are catching up to us. Morocco had made back-to-back finals. South Africa were the previous champions before this. And even if you watch the game, the semi-final of the last African Women Cup of Nations that we narrowly won, we got outplayed. South Africa were better on the ball. They were stringing passes together. They were an overall better team. Similarly with Morocco, they just unfortunately could not see it to the end. We do not have a team. We don't have a structure. We don't have an identity. We don't have a playing style in every footballing category right now. The Nigerian football tree is dead to its roots.
That is definitely a fact. So before we close out on the episode, there has actually been rumors on social media about Eric Chelle getting the sack if he doesn't um qualify for the World Cup and getting Eguavoen and the other backroom staff to come in for the AFCON. To be honest with you, when I saw the reports, the rumors and all of that, I was a bit confused because why are you trying to sack somebody that wasn't really the cause of our problems?
It is,
I'm trying to understand that, to be honest with you.
it is typical Nigerian politics. We said it here that somebody has to take the fall for it. Someone has to take the blame. Our Nigerian politicians are not going to ever come out and be accountable for their actions. They're not ever going to come out and say, I was wrong, I resigned. So, of course, they're going to look at the next person who is dispensable. And then you look at it, it is Eric Chelle. He is the only one that they can throw all the blame on because it is almost impossible for you to see any Nigerian appointed official step down and say, I fucked up, the people deserve better, this is my resignation letter. No, they won't do that. We don't have such people in such people in power in Nigeria. So yeah, I won't be surprised if they actually sack him. And I won't be surprised if they actually go for the Eguavoen again because it is the people that are running the Nigerian Football Federation are stuck in the year 1990. They don't care about growth. They don't care about the progress of the Nigerian Football Federation. All they care about is lining their pockets with tournament bonus. That's all they care about. Because I don't understand how Eguavoen, they are going back through the same. It's like It's like a dog going back to his vomit over and over again. How many times Nigeria sacked Eguavoen? How many countries outside Nigeria have given Eguavoen a chance? How many clubs outside Nigeria has given Eguavoen a chance? So why would we keep on going back to our vomit over and over and over again? It's like you keep on
I
going
mean,
back to your ex-girlfriend. It's not like the ex-girlfriend is getting prettier. She's not making progress. She's still the same old person, and they are always going back to her. You're always going back to her. It makes absolutely no sense. So I actually won't be surprised if they sack Eric Chelle. Someone has to take the blame. Someone has to take the fall. They need to point fingers at somebody, and they'll say the coach is the problem. That is when you would start hearing things like, we gave him a list of people to call, but he wanted to call his own people. You start hearing them making up stories to try and tarnish his image. It is the NFF. I won't be surprised if all these things happen. It is Nigerian politics. It's the state of the country as a whole. I won't be surprised if he actually gets sacked. I won't be surprised if Eguavoen gets the job again. I will not be surprised. It was not Eguavoen that took us to the 2022 AFCON when he lost against Tunisia in the round of 16 after they just sacked Gernot
yeah,
Rohr that
yeah,
was doing well.
yeah. I
So
remember that game. Maduka
exactly,
Okoye.
exactly. And then to still the fact that his art is even still in the conversation after he failed to take us to the 2022 World Cup. The fact that his name still even pops up in such conversations is baffling. It's really, really, really baffling. And then you're wondering that where is the progress going to come from? Where is the progress going to come from? And as you just mentioned, Maduka Okoye, it is another aspect of this thing that really needs to be worked on. We do not have a goalkeeper. We really do not have a goalkeeper.
Yeah, the goalkeeper issue.
Nwabali is
Wabali.
a Martinez wannabe. He, he, he does too much. For somebody that has limited talent or limited ability, you are doing too much. You are not a great goalkeeper. You had won okay tournaments, and Nigerians praised you because we have seen hell in the goalkeeping line from Akpeyi to Uzoho. And then we saw somebody that at least was catching the ball at the AFCON, and we're like, oh, okay, fine. At least we got somebody. But since the last game of the AFCON, I have not watched Nwabali put in one decent outing for the Super Eagles. I've not seen him put in one decent outing. We do not have a goalkeeper. If by some miracle we make it to the World Cup, is it Nwabali that will go and start in goal against Argentina or against an Mbappe? It's only God that will help
So,
us at this point. Just God.
so before we round up, we need to round up on the point. So I'm going to go over to Prince now. I think he has some permutations and combinations according to how Nigerians move and how during qualifiers, basically. So, Prince, what do you have for us?
First of all, it's a bit disheartening that uh, we have to fall to this. We have to fall to bring out our calculators and trying to figure out what we need to do to qualify. Because I believe at first when we saw the qualification table, everyone expected Nigeria to easily top the group. But here we are, the final day of the final match day of the World Cup, and we're having to decide who we have to beat, by how many goals we have to beat them, and what we have to do just to qualify. So here are some of the things that we need to do. Obviously, Nigeria needs to win. That's the most important thing. So we need to beat Benin Republic. We need to beat them, and then we have to also hope that South Africa does not win. Oh, so that means they either draw or they lose their match against, I believe, Rwanda. Yeah. And Rwanda themselves have already beaten South Africa before. I think they beat them 2-0 in Kigali. I don't know where the stadium is. In Rwanda, anyway. They beat South Africa 2-0. But this time around, they have nothing to play for. So it might be a bit easier for South Africa to get a result this time, knowing that South Africa just needs to win to make sure that or to, boost their chances of getting to the World Cup again. This time, without the benefit of being the home nation. So Nigeria needs to win. That's the most important thing. So the question now becomes, by how many goals do Nigeria need to win? Is it 3 goals? Is it 1 goal? Is it 2 goals? I believe I saw a graphic from Super Sports, which is owned by the South African media, that says Nigeria needs 3 goals to win, to qualify. But I don't think that's the case. Nigeria needs to win, but most importantly, Nigeria needs to keep a clean sheet to give themselves a chance for automatic qualification. So if Nigeria wins 1-0, I think that's enough to guarantee them automatic qualification if South Africa does not win their own games. So a 1-0 win for Nigeria gives Nigeria an automatic qualification spot. This is because we'll be on the same. Sorry, this is because we'll be on the same goal difference with. This is because we'll be on the same goal difference with Benin Republic, and then we'll only qualify via the away goals route because Nigeria will have one more away goal than Benin Republic.
Yes. So hopefully we get to grind out the results
Hopefully.
on Tuesday, and we've come to the end of the podcast today, and hopefully we'll be back on Tuesday evening to review the game against Benin Republic, and hopefully there's a positive
Hopefully.
outcome on that
Hopefully.
thing. So
Hopefully.
see you guys soon, and
All right.
hopefully we qualify. Yeah.